My time with the Wonderlands demo has come to an end, but in this video I want to share with you guys my top 10 favorite things from the early hands-on of Wonderlands with absolutely zero story spoilers.
And number 10 is...
At number 10, the weapons and the gunplay in general. While similar to Borderlands 3, the guns and gunplay just felt a little bit tighter. Part of that might have just been the dramatically reduced screen pollution, allowing me to better see what I was shooting at, or maybe it was a placebo effect. Either way, I felt like my own aim was dramatically improved, and that's saying something. Especially fun were Jacob's Masher pistols, Torgue shotguns with high multipliers like this ×18 one that I found, Hyperion SMGs with a ×4 multiplier, allowing projectiles to hit more often, and dull assault rifles, especially with the bow attachment in full auto. Those absolutely shredded. Of course, there were some cool legendary weapons, but if you want to see those, you'll have to click on my legendary drops from the demo video, which you can find as a card at the top of the screen right now, or as a link at the end of this video.
Now let's see number 9!
Speaking of legendaries, drop rates in Wonderlands appear to be better balanced than they were on Borderlands 3. Never once did I get a legendary from a chest during this demo, and altogether I snagged 14 legendary items in about 100 hours of game time. Had this been Borderlands 3, that number probably would have been closer to 30, and now it's hypothetically, of course. Bosses also did not rain down piles of legendary items on me, but badass enemies tended to be the main source of legendaries for me during this demo. All in all, the drop rates felt good. I felt rewarded for the amount of time that it took me to get one, and never did I feel like the game was just handing them to me. Also, the majority of the time that I was playing, I was highly enjoying blue and purple drops, including a few of the blue uniques that I got, and it's nice to see uniques be a solid option again in this game as well.
Number 8!
At number 8, there were a lot of solid quality of life changes, including slamming from a stand, which in Borderlands 3 required a Guardian rank unlock, being able to open chests via slam, slide, melee, or even the traditional open button, selling all junk from outside the vendor with just a simple button press, reduce screen pollution, reduce effects of cryo on the player, health barrels, being able to destroy barrels with a single shot after launching them. There's quite a few more, but those alone are huge improvements on the quality of life, and that's just what we know from the demo. It's likely that there's going to be other massive quality of life changes elsewhere in the game as well, so that just remains to be seen, but the quality of life changes we had alone in this demo were top notch.
Number 7!
At number 7, full auto melee. Being able to just hold down the melee button means my thumbs won't cramp from pounding R3 on my controller, and mouse and keyboard users won't have to contort their hands to constantly pound that V key. This combined with giving melee weapons their own slot in the loadout, not taking the place of a gun, this allows you to quickly and easily melee and shoot enemies without having to swap gear. From my time on the demo, melee was fun, impactful when needed, and it was a nice change of pace from the pure gunplay. Melee weapons are something that we have dreamed about in Borderlands forever, and it is so nice to finally have it here in our hands now.
And now for number 6!
Speaking of extra gear slots, at number 6 we have even more item slots than ever before. Slots for a left and right hand band or ring, whatever you want to call them, a class mod, a shield or ward as it's called in this game, an amulet, and even spell slots in a melee slot, and of course our 4 weapon slots. Obviously this means even more build variety with gear. Imagine combining a legendary sword that boosts your crit damage after meleeing an enemy, and with a gun that has multiple projectiles, a ward that gives increased fire rate, a ring that boosts crit damage, and another ring that boosts fire rate, a class mod that boosts 3 skills in your skill tree and gives even more crit damage, and casting a spell that drops a huge meteor on the battlefield. This will lead to some amazing and varied builds, and I cannot wait to see the crazy combinations we can come up with all of these slots available to us. At number 5, one of the coolest things that was added and we discovered in this demo was the Rune Puzzle. Find one of these on a map and activate it, and you'll have a limited time to find all the beacons. The one that we had in the demo had 3 beacons, and I'm not sure if they'll all be 3, but it felt like the perfect amount for something like this. After finding the 3rd and final beacon, you are rewarded with cash and loot, and on one of my attempts, I even scored a legendary weapon. Again, if you want to learn about those legendary weapons, you gotta go watch the other video. I'm not gonna spoil anything in this one. This does provide another nice challenge in the game, and another way besides just popping open chests to get yourself some sweet loot.
On to number 4!
And speaking of loot, at number 4, this demo showed off loot goblins and mimics of various sizes. Loot goblins serve as this game's version of loot tinks or loot midgets, a rare enemy that can drop a massive amount of loot. I had 3 total in my 100 hours, so they are definitely very rare. 2 of them actually got away from me, so I actually recommended to Gearbox to tone down the constant teleporting that they do, because they teleport a lot. Like basically you shoot them and they just start teleporting again. Now, if they can do that, if they can tone that down a little bit, this makes this a nice challenge, but also you feel rewarded if you actually find one. Then there's the always exciting mimic chests. These bastards scared the hell out of me multiple times. From having a loot chest turn into one with a baby mimic at its side, which unfortunately I lost the footage of, to smaller ammo chests turning into mimics. They were more common than loot goblins by a substantial amount, but also had a nice loot explosion to them when you killed them.
Third time's a charm. Here's number 3.
At number 3, respawning enemies and them staying on level with you is a thing in Wonderlands. Same thing with vending machines. Sadly, the demo did not have respawning bosses without save quits, so hopefully that's something that Gearbox looks at and maybe implements. But having enemies in various regions of a map respawn on a timer felt like a solid change, allowing players to do laps around a map and just mob to their heart's desire, which I did for about 12 levels in the demo, getting my Stabomancer all the way up to level 26 without that much effort. Making enemies stay on level with you also means you can return to areas you played earlier in the game without feeling like it's pointless with underleveled enemies, chests, and vendors. Save quit farming should still be a thing, as it always has been, but having this option for players who aren't fans of sitting in load screens is very welcome. Just need to convince Gearbox to let bosses respawn just by fast traveling back to the nearest fast travel like Freddy does in Borderlands 3, and then things will be perfect.
Number 2.
At number 2, golden dice. These are a new way to increase your loot luck in Wonderlands, and frankly, I love this concept. Do you want loot to be more rare like it was in Borderlands 2? Avoid the golden dice when you see them. Keep your drop rates low. But if you want to boost your luck, then track down all the dice on a map. This might be part of the reason why I scored so many legendary drops. 14 of them total in about 100 hours of gameplay, like I said earlier. I snagged all the golden dice and then I looped around the map, killing everything in sight. Having collectibles like this that allow you to control your loot luck is a very nice addition.
Honorable mention.
The honorable mention for this video is going to be the overview map. Now, sadly, we could not venture out into the overworld in this demo, but we could look at the overworld map. And this is a nice change from the planet view or the galaxy view that we had in Borderlands 3. Being able to see an actual map with all the locations interconnected is kind of awesome.
And finally, here we are at number 1.
Finally, at number 1 is the ancient obelisks. This is such a cool new feature that I really wanted to just run it over and over again. Basically, these obelisks appear on various maps and give you a horde mode where you have to kill waves of enemies until a mini boss spawns in. The mini boss for this one was a cute little goblin named Pigwort. He presented a decent little challenge with his attacks, his movement, and his triple bar of shield, armor, and health. I'm hoping that this is something that we can repeat with save quits, but this demo was set up in a way that every time you saved and quit, you literally started back with your default save state, which meant that we couldn't really save quit to test. We had to run all the way through the content again to test it over and over. Now, if you can save quit and redo these things over and over as much as you want, then this is one of the coolest new features to the game. A much improved boss fight with waves of enemies, great for testing your build and potentially scoring some sweet loot. I hope you guys enjoyed this look at my 10 favorite things from the Wonderlands demo. I cannot wait to get my hands on the full game. If you guys want to see more Wonderlands and Borderlands content, hit that subscribe button, tap that like button right now, and help out the channel. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.